I'm trying to keep up on the weirdness since last Friday. It's impossible. It is just literally impossible to keep up with the insanity of the Trump administration. However, with Bob Corker, the Republican senator from Tennessee, now saying that Trump's recklessness is putting us all on the verge of World War III, it may be, this may be happening, that members of the Senate, the Republican members of the Senate, are starting to realize that Trump is such a loose cannon, literally, that they're going to have to get rid of him. And I think the next 90 days is going to reveal some effort on the part of the senior leaders in the House and the Senate, both Democrat and Republican. I mean, if ever there was a reason to work together, it is the removal of Donald Trump. And I think they're getting close to that. Corker, who, by the way, is, as you know, is the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, it's his job to oversee U.S. relations with the rest of the world. And it's in front of Corker's committee that any candidate nominated to be Secretary of State would have to appear. So the talk about the removal of Tillerson from the Secretary of State's position, which Trump would do in a fit of his uncontrollable rage and his psychopathy. Is that how you pronounce that? Psychopathy? It would be up to the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and Bob Corker specifically, the chairman of that committee, to begin the hearings on any person nominated by Trump to become the new Secretary of State. So a lot of the long knives are out right now, and I think it is becoming clearer and clearer to the Republicans in Washington that they have as the titular leader of their party a madman, an absolute madman who's incapable. He has no idea what he is supposed to be doing. Consequently, the shit that he's doing is just so destructive. Anyway, in an interview yesterday, Corker said that Trump was treating the office of the presidency like, quote, a reality show, end quote. And Corker, that's when he said that Trump has, with Trump's reckless threats toward other countries, he is possibly leading this nation right up on a path, according to Corker, a path to World War III. So Corker, and this was an extraordinary rebuke from one of the leaders of Trump's party, although Trump is not a Republican. He's not a Democrat. He's not independent. He's an asshole. He's a psychopathic asshole. So while he ran as a Republican, well, Bernie Sanders ran as a Democrat, you know. But because he ran as a Republican, what he does becomes reflective on the Republican Party. They're stuck with him. There's not a Democrat in the House or the Senate who will cooperate with this ignorant savage in any of the key legislation that he says he wants. There are a couple of renegade Democrats who ought to get the hell out of the party and go ahead and join the Republican Party. Joe Manchin of West Virginia is one of them. But for the most part, Democrats are not going to play nice with this ignorant savage. The Republicans are only concerned about their political futures, and they realize that Trump has the ability to pull them down. Because I'll tell you what, if Trump survives to the next presidential election, I don't give a shit if every single one of his insane followers goes to the polls. I think average Americans, people like me, and maybe some of the people you know, I don't know if you consider yourself an average American, but those of us who have watched in horrific fascination about what this bastard's doing, we're not going to sit home during the next election. They can run Hillary Clinton, they can run Mickey fucking Mouse. It doesn't matter. People will go out and vote. There will be no more of this, well, I'm not going to vote for that candidate because I'm going to retain my purity. Bite me. That's not going to happen again. If we ever get to another election, which there's a part of me that just says it's not going to happen. I think that's the part that likes to watch The Walking Dead and programs like that. We've survived a lot. We've never had to survive a leadership like this one, or an ignorant savage like Trump. So, but I think the odds are in our favor that we'll survive it. Anyway, Corker said he was alarmed about a president who acts, quote, like he's doing The Apprentice or something, end quote. Now, this is really, really intense shit that Corker has put out there. I mean, you know, I can't think in modern history. I realize that politicians back in the late 18th century, early 19th century, where it could be vicious and vile and brutal and call each other murderers and assholes and pederasts and all sorts of shit. But in modern political history, there's never been a situation that I'm aware of where one of the leaders of the party to which the man in the presidency belongs could come out and make these kinds of statements. Corker added, quote, he concerns me. He would have to concern anyone who cares about our nation, end quote. The implication being that Trump doesn't. Now, it's one thing to call somebody stupid-ass names like I do on this program every night. It's something else again to get into vile, vicious, nasty rhetoric that we see with television ads during every political season. But it's something else again when one of the leaders of the Republican Party, and in this case the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, makes these kinds of statements. Quote, he would have to concern anyone who cares about our nation, end quote. That's some powerful shit because of the implication that Trump doesn't. And I don't believe he does. I really don't. All this patriotic, all this God shit that he's fallen into to satisfy these nutbags in the religious right who voted for him, all the evangelical fools who voted for him, that's what Trump's doing. Trump has no beliefs in anything. He really doesn't. Except maybe, you know, if he can do some pussy grabbing and get away with it, like seems to be his favorite sport. Where's my Tic Tacs, right? Asshole.